The CIA director and the Secretary of State doubting the agreement with Iran tonight. This is according to a new report just breaking from Axios, which reports that CIA Director John Ratcliffe reportedly told President Trump that U.S. intelligence raised serious doubts about Iran's willingness to make the nuclear concessions the United States wants. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth both also expressing concerns about the deal. All of that is hugely significant, and there is real anger coming from some of Trump's allies publicly, too. Trump and Vance claim they've already signed the agreement, but they've refused to let anybody see it. And tonight, some of Trump's most visible supporters are crying foul.
The Iranians may comply for a short period of time, but then we're going to have a weak American president, and they're going to have gotten the money. And then there's talk of a reconstruction fund of hundreds of billions of dollars. They'll be like doing a Marshall Plan for Germany while the Nazis were still in power. So I'm anxious to see what the details of the deal are and what gets negotiated, but I'm concerned.
In those concerns, he's referring to questions of whether Iran could have access to $300 billion just by holding up its ends of the deal. And another Fox News host and longtime Trump backer, Mark Levin, is raising his hand, too, posting on social media today. And I quote Mark Levin, "I've asked for days. Why can't we, the people, see the damn MOU?" That stands for Memorandum of Understanding. Not through people briefed by an anonymous person. Honestly, I've never seen anything like this. If it's a great outcome for peace, then release it.
Trump has surrendered to Iran. That is how conservative Eric Erickson is describing the little-known agreement between the United States and Iran that was signed virtually yesterday. Erickson took his criticism even further, claiming those who kill Americans love this deal. But the truth is, we don't know what exactly was agreed to, and what we do know changes, depends on who you ask. Questions remain about whether Iran will have access to billions of dollars of frozen funds, and what, if any, concessions Iran has already agreed to. And while the White House claims that the Strait of Hormuz will be open toll-free, Iranian officials say it will have fees. Even the question of when we will actually see the text of this agreement isn't clear. J.D. Vance says maybe tomorrow. Trump says Friday. But Erickson is not the only Republican taking issue with the lack of transparency around this deal. Fox News host Mark Levin questions why the American people can't see the, quote, damn MOU. If it's a great outcome for peace, then release it. He added, don't brief a few anointed ones to control the narrative and expect everyone else to sit silently. Controlling the narrative can only last so long. And a new Axios reports finds that there are some skeptics in this administration, too. Sources tell them that the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, advised Trump on some intelligence that raises serious doubts about Iran's willingness to make nuclear concessions. The source also told Axios that Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, have both expressed concerns based on that intelligence. Now, while Vance, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner have all advocated for this deal. We are now sitting here, I guess, more than a day after apparently the United States and Iran have signed on to some kind of agreement. We don't have any text. We just have anonymous officials. They won't even put their names on the statement, fighting over what is in it. And I do think one of the basic things is if this agreement is a page and a half long and it doesn't actually have any hard commitments on the nuclear issue, why are we even talking about sanctions relief? Why are we even talking about reconstruction funds or releasing any money at all?
Well, we're talking to them because we want this conflict to end and we want to get to an ultimate goal where Iran doesn't have any or the capacity to make any nuclear weapons. That is the principal goal. That's number one. Number two, it would be wise for the administration to put this document out for everybody to look at. And they ought to do it as soon as they can, both for their allies who are interested, but also for the American people, because we've gone to war here. The American people deserve to know how this is going to come to an end. Number three, I talked to the president on Sunday, and he was, telling me he was about to sign something with Iran, and he did. And he was excited to get the Strait of Hormuz open. But he said something very important to me, which is, look, if they don't follow through on their commitments, we will start hitting them again. He's clearly not taken further military action off the table. So we have some miles to travel down this road. The next mile will be on Friday when there's a formal signing. For the people who don't trust Iran, Look, I agree with you. I think an Iranian signature is worth very, very little, but it could be worth something if the president keeps
So
this
what is your
Middle Eastern
understanding of what
coalition
this-
together.
What is your understanding of what this deal actually accomplishes?
The accomplishment here principally would be getting all the nuclear material and destroying
In this
it.
deal?
and
That's
getting-
not
and
what
getting
Because
it out
that's
of the
not what's in
country.
this deal.
No, that's the goal.
No,
And
I'm
so-
asking you, what do you think this
Oh,
MOU
sorry.
is
I
accomplishing?
understand.
Yeah.
The memorandum of understanding.
Yeah.
So 60 days, ceasefire, open the Strait of Hormuz, and you have a window to finalize the discussions about ending the nuclear program. The president believes he's got them to agree to do that. They have 60 days to finalize that. And again, I'll just stress, as he said to me on Sunday, if they don't follow through on that, I'll start hitting them again.
Can
So
I just
you
say on the
actually
60
believe that-
days, though?
first of all,
on
you
the,
believe this
well,
is
can I
gonna be
just say
open?
that on what Scott was saying on the MOU? 60 days to negotiate anything with Iran when it comes to its nuclear program. We're not even talking about its ballistic missile program, its support to its proxies. 60 days is aspirational at best. I think what we understand this agreement to be is trying to restore the Strait to pre-war conditions where there was freedom of navigation that flew and international law was upheld. But right now, we don't even know the details of this agreement because Iran is saying that they're going to charge some type of fee for ships going in and out of the Strait, which would be highly illegal under international law. But not only that, we don't know when the Strait is open. We don't know when the blockade is ending. And we don't know, I mean, the only ones that can determine if the Strait is open, it's not Iran, it's not the United States, it's the shipping companies. If the shipping companies feel confident that they can sail through the Strait unimpeded and safely, then they will do it. But we don't know that.
Well, with
Okay, let me let Charles say. He wanted to get in. Go ahead.
Well, the point you make about whether or not the Strait will be open is, I think, the crucial one. The people who study this think it'll take months to clear it of mind,
Yeah.
let alone try to figure out new navigation lanes that the Iranians want to put into effect in order to collect some fees. And then you have to worry about whether or not the shipping companies will be able to pay the insurance. They're not paying war insurance, which is like a 900% increase in their insurance costs from before this war started. And the insurance companies have to be reassured and that they can bring those costs down,
That's right.
and that the shipping companies have to be reassured that they will be able to pay the new costs to get through it. No one believes that this happens in a couple of months. So the idea that this deal may start the reopening, but it will not reopen the Strait.
I mean, I don't even know that we should even be calling it a deal of any kind. Because just to be clear, if it's a deal, you should be able to say, before you even sign it, here's what we both agreed to. Anna, did you know that John Thune, Senate Majority Leader, has not even been briefed? He told Manu Raju today. He has not been briefed.
Actually,
on
I
this.
did know that because
The-
I listened to Manu
Yeah,
say
okay.
that, and nobody in
the
Congress has been
Israelis
briefed.
are asking, what's in this deal? Under what circumstances would the United States sign a document with Iran and not tell anybody what was
And
in
it's,
it?
you know, I mean, so J.D. Vance told Jake Tapper that it is a page and a half.
I have tweets longer than that.
Grocery shopping list for Thanksgiving is longer than that. So it's not like they have that briefing them on what's in this MOU should be that difficult because there doesn't seem to be that much in that MOU. I think it feels like it's kicking the can down the road and giving them 60 days to come up with something else. But, you know, Donald Trump has done a terrible job selling this entire thing from the beginning. He never went in front of the American people. He never went in front of Congress to explain it thoroughly. I think he gets another shot at doing it now, and he should do it, and he should do it expeditiously because a lot of these attacks are coming from inside the house. So if he doesn't even have his allies on board selling this, he needs to be clear and transparent with the American people and certainly with Congress, because if he's going to be disbursing any money, they've got to authorize it.
First, on that point, there's no dispersal of funds. I know, and this is what I wanted to address. I think the administration today has been pretty upset about what they say is misinformation flying around out there, even from some of their own
They have
This
no right to
administration's
be
worried
upset
about
about
misinformation?
misinformation when they won't release the document.
if I may finish.
It's that simple.
If I may. The quickest way to dispel any misinformation would, of course, be to put the document out and say, here's what our intentions are when we get to Friday, and here's what our intentions are over this 60-day period. So hopefully they do that in the next 24 hours, and that'll bring some clarity.
Here's one other thing.
already been over 24 hours.
It doesn't count to claim we are not going to be dispersing funds if there's a $300 billion fund that we are authorizing to be dispersed to the Iranians, which I'll play what J.D. Vance said about that, that is not actually being disputed by the administration. Listen.
The Iranians are saying that they're going to have access to a $300 billion reconstruction fund. True or false?
Well, Ed, that's the sort of thing they could have access to, funded by the Gulf Coast Coalition, so long as they honor their end of the obligation. We absolutely are open to the Gulf Coast countries investing in the reconstruction of Iran, but only if Iran ends their nuclear program, ends their enriched stockpile of material, and is really open to an inspections and enforcement regime that gives the American people confidence they're never going to have a nuclear weapon.
So there it is. What are they
Well,
mad
look,
about?
I mean, I don't think
They said it in a call. Vance said it on
that's
TV.
$299 billion
taxpayer
more than
funds
Obama negotiated with the Iranians.
I don't think it matters whether when the JCPOA was signed, the money was not taxpayer
taxpayer
dollars.
money.
That was Iranian money that was being
Iranian
held
money.
in frozen accounts. So it doesn't matter if it's our money or not.
It's a good point. Even if it is the Gulf states' money, I don't think the median GOP-based voter is going to be particularly thrilled with the notion of releasing $300 billion in funds to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. That's not why we got into this. But here's what I will say. Me personally, I'm a bomb the terrorists guy. If that didn't work and I was president, I would probably just bomb the terrorists some more. But I'm not the president. Donald Trump is. He was elected on a kind of dual message. One, the Iranians can never have a nuclear weapon. And two, we're also not going to get into endless quagmire wars in the Middle East. To me, this looks like the execution of that
Can I
process.
just tell you that
Well,
the,
let me
the,
just finish
bomb,
the
the
point.
bombing,
Kinetically
the
and
bombing
kinetically
of
and
terrorists,
militarily,
we can both
we've-
agree on, but bombing Iran into submission did not work.
Well,
and Iran,
maybe that's
in March, the president tweeted that
Kinetically
Iran
and
will
militarily.
unconditionally surrender, and that just has not happened.